Let's talk about stress. I like to think of stress as being on a spectrum. And on one side of that spectrum, we've got chronic, inflammatory, toxic, bad stress. The kind of stress that breaks us down. And then on the other side of that spectrum, we have good stress, healthy and productive stress. This is a stress that we refer to as hormesis, or a hormetic stressor. And the example I always like to give to illustrate this idea is just a simple bicep curl, right? What are we doing when we're doing a bicep curl? We've got a weight in our hand, we've got our bicep muscle that's pulling that weight up at the elbow joint, and we're doing that so that we can maybe build a bigger muscle or create a little bit more bone density. And that's all done by putting stress on the muscle fiber and stress on the bone. That's what the weight is for. But this is a fine line that we have to walk with a hormetic stressor in exercise. That's why we have trainers to help keep it in a safe zone. Because if we do too much weight or too many repetitions, or maybe we don't give ourselves enough rest, then we can perhaps come across an injury. And then this healthy stress that we had turns into a chronic, inflammatory, bad stressor. Now, this idea of a hormetic stressor is really what underlies most everything that we do in the Wim Hof Method. Our hormetic stressors in the Wim Hof Method are our breath work and our cold exposure. Within the breath work, we can use this sort of stress breathing to help alkalinize the blood. We can use it to energize the body. We can decrease inflammation. In the cold plunge, we can also use that to decrease inflammation. It can also help boost our immune system. It can also help raise and regulate our dopamine and serotonin and really do really great things with mood regulation. Now again, these things are short, acute stressors, so more is not always better. And in fact, each of us is a little different and may need to use these stressors in different ways. And so just like with exercise, it's good to have a trainer. With these things, it's also nice to have a teacher or a guide there to help keep these stressors in a safe container for you. Now, with these hormetic stressors, it's not just about the physiological benefits that we can have. A big part of my teaching is mindset, and also understanding and feeling what these stress states are like. Because with both the breath work and the cold exposure, we are intentionally putting ourselves into a fight or flight stress state, but then we are understanding that we can, with our own breath and with our own mind, come out of that stress state at will and become more composed and more peaceful and find more stillness. And that's really what this is all about. It's about what we call a cross-adaptation of stress and stress response. Because the same adrenaline and cortisol that may get released when you go into an ice bath, it's the same hormones and neurotransmitters that get released in any other stress state that you may find in your life. Whether it's something at work, or stuck in traffic, or a fight with a friend. The method is a way to be able to practice and get better at rewiring a default stress response that you may have. I always like to give the cliche that life gives you the tests first and the lessons afterwards. I find that to be true. With the ice bath, we're allowed to practice this stress response. We can feel the hormones, we can feel the stress, and then we can practice shifting out of it, giving us a little bit more power and a little bit more control.